This is GCSE algebra, and it is solving simultaneous equations, one quadratic and one linear. So our instructions say you're going to use the substitution method. We're going to substitute one and the other, and we rearrange the linear one, there's the linear one here, and substitute it then into the quadratic. I'm actually going to change this question because it makes things a little bit less complicated, and then in the second example we can do one of the tougher ones. Just give a bit of an idea. So I'm changing that -2 there to a -1. I hope we're okay with that. So calling this equation number 1. And equation 2 I'm going to rearrange. I'm going to do two moves here. I'm going to take the y over to this side, and I'm going to take the 1 over to this side. So it's going to give me y equals 2x plus 1. I hope you see what I've done there, and just in terms of rearranging it, and then we can solve it then from there. So it says substitute one into the other. You can see y equals this in number 1, and we have y equals this number 2. So anytime I see a y in number 1, I'm going to change it for a 2x plus 1. Some people say the phrase you just put the two equations equal to each other whenever they have them as y equals, so that's also the same. But I'm rewriting out 1, only instead of writing my y, I'm going to have then a 2x plus 1. So I'll do it over here because we need a wee bit of space. So 2x plus 1 equals x squared plus 3x minus 1. I hope you see what I've done. This is just equation 1, only instead of writing the y, I've written 2x plus 1. How do we solve an equation? I guess this is a quadratic equation. The way we solve quadratic equations is to take everything over to the one side. So I'm going to take away 2x from both sides. That gives me the x squared just stays as it is, plus x, and then I'm going to take away 1 from both sides, minus 2. Now the equals 0 should be over to this side, but I'm just going to write it over here. Again, I hope you're happy enough with that. That is a quadratic we should know how to solve. We're looking for two numbers that multiply together to give minus 2, and the same two numbers add to give us 1. Because it's a 1x squared, we can put it straight into our brackets, and the two numbers here are going to be 2 and minus 1. And that gives me a value then of x is minus 2, because either x plus 2 equals 0 or x minus 1 equals 0. So x is minus 2 and x equals 1. We're almost there. We've worked out our two x values. We're now going to work out our y values. I actually didn't need the rest of the space, which is good news, but that's okay. And if I sub minus 2 in instead of x in here, 2 times minus 2 gives me minus 4, plus 1 gives me minus 3. And if I sub my 1 in here, 2 times 1 gives me 2 plus 1. That gives me 3. So my answers to this then are, let me see, x is minus 2 and y is minus 3, or x is 1 and y is 3. Okay. Let's take a wee look then at our second example. It's a little bit tougher. Solve these simultaneous equations. This is actually the equation of a circle. We don't need to worry too much about that, but we're trying to work out the solution then to these equations. We rearrange the linear one to get one of the letters on its own. I call this equation 1. Equation 2, I'm going to write it as y equals 3 minus 2x. So I've taken the 2x in over to this side. It then says substitute this, which is our equation 2, into 1. Anytime I see a y in here, I'm going to exchange it for a 3 minus 2x. I think I need the space this time, so we'll go over here. So I'm going to go for x squared plus 3 minus 2x all squared equals 4. See the way they've introduced the bracket there, because that's a y squared, so we need to square all of this. We're actually going to need to use FOIL here now to multiply this out. So let's do a wee line. X squared plus 3 minus 2x upon 3 minus 2x equals 4. X squared plus, first gives me 9. Outer and inner are both minus 6x, so that gives me minus 12x. Hope you're okay with that move. And then minus 2x times minus 2x gives me plus 4x squared. And that all equals 4. Again, we have a quadratic, much like our previous example. How do we solve that? We take everything over to the one side, so we're going to bring the 4 over and tidy everything else up. Here we have an x squared and a 4x squared. That gives me 5x squared minus 12x, take away 4 from both sides, plus 5 equals 0. How do we solve this? 5 times 5 gives me 25, so the numbers need to multiply to give me 25, and the same two numbers need to add to give me minus 12. I'm good at my maths, but I can't think of two numbers that works for, so we can't do it by this method. We're going to have to use the formula. So how do we use the formula? A, B, and C. A is 5, B is minus 12, and C is 5. And we substitute it into x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you can see this down here, x equals minus 12 is 12 plus or minus b squared, so that's minus 12 squared, that's actually 144 positive. Take away 4 times a times c, so that is take away 100 all over, I'll move up to the next line in a wee second, 2a then, which is 10. So I'm going to go up here and start to tidy things up. That gives me x equals 12 plus or minus the square root of 144 take away 100 is 44 all over 10, and then I just need to get my calculator out. So we split this up here, I hope you remember that. So we're going to go 12 plus the square root of 44 divided by 10, and to three significant figures, that gives me 1.86. Check that yourself on the calculator, make sure you get the same thing. Or 12 take away root 44 divided by 10, that gives me x equals 0.537. I have my x values, like the question above. I now need my y value, so I need to substitute it back in. You can substitute it into anything, but this is definitely the easiest one. So we're going to substitute it into y equals take away 2x. So 3 take away 2 times 1.86 gives me minus 0.72. Not great accuracy there, but that's okay. And then 3 take away 2 times 0.537, again put it in my calculator, gives me 1.93. So that's us done. It's a bit of a palaver this one, but we're there. We have x is 1.86 and y is minus 0.72. And the other solution is x is 0.537 and y is 1.93.